Hello, everybody. Welcome to the fascinating world of astrology. In this video, I want to review last 2 days of football and with special focus on goal scorers and their birth charts and their transits. Well, we're talking about end of January as I speak. And it was Tuesday, Wednesday, yesterday. There were matches, several ones, and Premier League matches. And let's take a look at some stuff that happened there. That was quite interesting. So if you look at the stars from Tuesday night, we see it was this, for example. You see here, 29 January in the evening. And I would like you to take note of Jupiter being here and Venus on 24 Sagittarius, and the Sun was extra close with Mercury on 10 Aquarius, and Mars was in Aries here, almost 20 degrees. So maybe you keep that in mind. And we go through some charts, and for the beginning, I start with a guy who really nobody knows, except you know about Second League Germany. There's a guy called Patrick Fabian who scored a goal, and the funny thing is that this was his fourth goal in 12 years for this club, VfL Bochum. And within this same time, he had 4 operations on his knee, so just as much as he scored goals. So you can think about this what you want. Pretty unusual. And if you look at this chart, you see there is Saturn on 17, and Jupiter these days is sitting right on it. And there's Uranus with trine Jupiter, and as I mentioned, Venus was hanging out pretty much here between Uranus going to trine Jupiter. And he had his happy day where he scored one of his goals like every 3 years average. And it kind of makes sense with like the rare Jupiter that's not only on Saturn but also sextile with the Sun. And then to kick it off on this evening with the Venus joining this trine here, which is quite interesting, I think. And I wouldn't present it if I wouldn't have another key to it, because this trine, or this Saturn and this Uranus trine Jupiter, is you find it in some other guy's chart pretty very much exactly the same way. And this guy is a little bit more famous, a little bit more known than Patrick Fabian, because I'm talking about Lionel Messi, who is, well, maybe second most biggest star on football next to Cristiano Ronaldo. So this is the chart from Lionel Messi, and of course could talk hours about this only. I just want you to take notice that, well, they were born only 3 months apart, and due to retrograde motions, planets go back to their positions they were before, and in this case here it just happens to be pretty exact the same. So Patrick Fabian with some genes from Lionel Messi, if you want. And see, Saturn is almost exact in the same spot, and you see here the trine with Uranus Jupiter. And for example, Messi is having a series of scoring, and on Wednesday, so yesterday as I speak, he scored, even though it was in minute 93, but still he's keeping a series with Venus here. And Jupiter is going through Sagittarius, and he's just having a splendid time. For example, he's of course known for a free kick art. Is it still football, or is it also already circus art? You can discuss this. And he has got this tight opposition with Saturn with Venus, which does remind to this long shot kind of thing. And Jupiter is now right there, and like in December there was one night when he scored 3 goals, and there were actually 2 through straight free kick. And that was when the sun was right on this Saturn-Venus thing, which was quite remarkable as well. Because this doesn't happen every day, even for Lionel Messi. And I don't know if you know that there's a constellation in the stars that's called the Rabbit. And there's a star within this constellation that's called Sassine, and it's on 12 Gemini. And I highly suspect that the moon from Lionel Messi is right on this star. Because, of course, the rabbit is taking turns like no other animal. And, of course, you know, in football, there's no other animal like Lionel Messi taking turns. And this is like what he's famous for, really. And there's a text from Manilius from 2,000 years ago, actually, for guys being born under the rabbit, bringing about up like circus stars, juggling balls and all kind of thing. And to be honest, if you look at this rabbit, doesn't it remember you to Lionel Messi? If you recall what he looks like, I'd say it's just the same. Here's the picture from Messi, and I hope you agree with me. It's just him, isn't it? So, going through the evening, there was on Tuesday, only for the record, let's bring this up. Arsenal was playing against Cardiff, and they won 2-1. And this is the chart from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and this also is an AA birth chart, so pretty accurate, we can believe. And he has this tight opposition with the Moon and Jupiter on 20. And as I mentioned before, Mars on that night was right here in 20 Aries, so pretty nice in trine with the Moon and sextile with Jupiter. And this is a nice script for a goal for a forward scorer like he is. And so he did score by penalty, I think it was. And but that wasn't the really exciting stuff of that night, because of course here I had it for Newcastle, the chart for Tuesday, and Newcastle, really bad club. They won over Manchester City 2-1 match miraculously after City took the lead in the first minute right away, and in the end they were 2-1 down. And the funny or interesting, remarkable thing about this was that both the guys scored the goals for Newcastle, Randon and Richie. They both were kind of born with the same chart, only a week apart. You see here Mercury on 10 Libra, and the week before Mercury was still on 10 Libra because it was just turning direction, standing still, going retrograde. And on Tuesday evening, the Sun was with Mercury very close in trine to this, and it's just remarkable that these two guys scored the goals on that night. And as I saw these constellations here with Mercury on 10 Libra, I thought, I know that from somewhere, I saw this before. And indeed, I could remember that Thomas Müller, the German guy, was actually born with this constellation as well. And this was just between the other two on 13 September. So his Mercury is even more unstable. And if you know Thomas Müller, and he's famous for his unusual, impossible kind of playing, scoring goals in impossible ways and moving in strange directions. And this is the key to this, because Mercury in station is like flexible, it's more flexible than other Mercuries, so to say. It's typical, it's like it's the key to his chart, because it's in his, yes, let's not talk too long about it. This is the key to his style of playing football. Let's leave it with this. On the same night, there was Wolverhampton won 3-0 over West Ham. And for the Wolves, some guy scored 2 goals. Jimenez, there is again an apex Mercury in his chart, this time on 20 Aries, and this is what, as mentioned before, the place where Mars was sitting in that night. So again, does kind of make sense, doesn't it? Now, for a quick look to Wednesday, next day, that highlight of that night probably, or like after City losing, Liverpool had the chance to really go ahead for the title, and they didn't. They played against Leicester at home, and they only got to draw. And here, this is the event chart for the Wednesday. You see now the moon has moved further. It's applying to Jupiter. And here for the event chart Neptune, you have it right on the descendant, and either way, the modern way, like taking Neptune for Lord 7, the visitors, or Jupiter, it's pretty much a chart arguing for the visitors having some success, and so it happened, because the final result was 1-1. And in terms of scoring, I had picked one guy before, and very simple. Miraculously, we have once more, we have an apex Sun on 20 Mars, 20 Aries, and Mars was right there, as needless to say, once more. So he did his goal, but in the end it was a draw. And the goal Maguire for Leicester, he also had some connections to transits, but it's not that well clear or so we don't bother with that so much. But maybe take a quick look at Jürgen Klopp, manager from Liverpool. This is not a solid burst time, but it has been rectified and is quite solid actually, due to observation over a long time. And he's this Leo with Jupiter and Venus in rising. There's this happy man with Malefic on the MC, Saturn, but that's another story. That's on him here. It would be another story, because he had series too. If you have followed it, they won 9 matches in a row, and that was exactly, and I mean exactly, this series started with Jupiter entering Sagittarius and going in contact with his planets, with Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, and the series ended exactly also when Jupiter had passed trying to Saturn and was going further, and then they had their lost points again. So that's worth mentioning, I think. And Wednesday also saw Coppa Italia, Florence beating AS Rome by 7-1. That result reminds me of the good times when Germany still were successful, 2014 in Brazil, but that's another story as well. So Florence 7-1 over Rome. Don't know how that happened, but one guy scored 3 goals for Florence, and his name was Chiesa. And again, you find here something pretty close to the Jupiter moons of that night, in trine with Saturn. And this is a moon chart, as you see, and I would highly suspect this guy to be born early, because then you would have the moon also around 20, and with Mars here, you would get a full grand trine, like Mars in transit with the moon and Venus Mars, and this is typical for special nights like this. And well, I saw this several times, so that's pretty likely. Final thing, I have to rush. Benzema, this is for tonight. I think he will score, and this is my 15 minutes. I have to finish. So I say goodbye and see you next time. Bye bye.